Welcome to the Sexual Wellness Podcast, real-life conversations with industry experts on modern sexuality and how to live a happy, healthy, turned-on life. I'm your host, Laura Allen, founder of New Zealand's leading sexual wellness store and holistic sex, love, and life coach, passionately guiding women to expand their pleasure in and outside the bedroom. Welcome back to the Sexual Wellness Podcast, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Just another reminder that Pillow Talk, my live event series in AKL City, is live and it is available for you to purchase tickets and come on down to Pleasure Town. The first one is being held in Grey Lynn, Auckland, and it's on Wednesday evening, October the 23rd. And it's just going to be an absolute vibe. My vision for these events is to have women from all walks of life, lionesses, lounging in pillow forts, grazing and indulging in beautiful high vibrational foods and drink, getting to know each other, connecting with new friends as well as old, as well as all of the transformational tools and aha moments and a presentation from me about how to live a turned on life. It's going to be super fucking epic. I just got so sick and fed up of the current paradigm with all of these transformational workshops and personal development this and like tantra that. And I found it was like super out there and not accessible for the day-to-day woman. And I just wanted to take aspects of those teaching modalities and just bring them into the real world, I guess, and make them accessible for everyone and anyone who's curious, but doesn't necessarily want to go and live in the jungle with a tantric shaman for half a year to embody these tools and rituals. So grab a ticket, honey. Grab a ticket. Come on down. I can't wait to meet you and see you. Tickets are actually selling out really quickly for the first one, so make sure you get on board. And yeah, I just can't wait. Awesome. So back to today's episode, and I am bringing to you the fabulous Teddi Emerald, who is a passionate facilitator of transformation, supporting women to be confident and turn their dream life into a reality using EFT, tapping, and much, much more. EFT is emotional freedom technique. Emotional freedom technique. And we dive into everything about what the hell that actually is in this episode. And we talk about confidence. We talk about money. We talk about all of the things that stop us from stepping into the radiance and shine that we know we deeply, deeply want to and deserve. And so much more. It's a great episode. I'm really excited to share. Teddi is such a beam of light and you're going to love it. So enjoy, and don't forget to leave a review and send me a DM with your fave takeaways. Mwah. Welcome, Teddi. Such a pleasure to have you on my show and to be speaking with you. Every time we connect, you are just like a beam of sunshine, and it is honestly a pleasure to know you and to have this relationship with you. And I'm really excited to talk to you and bring your wisdom to the listeners on the show. So thank you. Thank you.
Yay! So amazing. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
We've been sort of like channeling this for a while. So I'm glad that we're actually making it happen. So before we dive in, I would love to know, what color are you today and why?
Oh, I'm wearing it. Yellow.
Yeah.
Like your backdrop.
Yeah.
We're on the yellow vibes. Yeah. And interestingly enough, I've been doing a bit of work with solar plexus, like just yesterday around like, permission to like shine and that kind of thing. And that's like obviously the color yellow. And I really do believe that when I'm working with particular themes that I end up being attracted to wearing that color. And I know, okay, I must be working with this stuff. And I was doing some tapping with it, and it was like the yellow, what limits our capacity to shine and take action is shame. And I'd never realized that before. And so that was really interesting, like just moving through like shame stuff about like, if I am taking action, if I'm shining, then yeah, like what's the thing that I fear? And like, would I feel ashamed of that? And that's why we can procrastinate and like not take any action. And that's what I was hitting up against myself. And I was like, no wonder I'm wearing yellow. I need that empowerment and like move through that kind of stuff. So yeah, a little bit of a deviant just on what color are you?
This is going to be a great deviation. Episode, I can tell already. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to dive into all of that stuff, and I'm really, really keen to talk about tapping, but we'll get to that a bit later. And just to sort of start off, so you are labeled the Queen of Confidence, and you really work with men and women, correct?
Yes and no. I don't specify that I work only with women, but that tends to be everyone that I work with.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, cool.
If a man comes to me and he's like, I want to do some tapping, of course I'll like 100% work with him, but 99.9% of my clientele is women.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Got you. Roger that. Yeah. Okay, cool. So mostly women, but not exclusive to building confidence and just like rocking out in the world, feeling like, with that permission to shine. And so I'd love to know what your definition of confidence is.
Confidence. What is it? I think it is the shining thing. And it doesn't have to be like, I'm like this massive extrovert, because it can be that inner belief of, I'm worthy, I'm deserving, I'm good enough, all of that kind of stuff. And just having that belief in us changes the way that our body is, like our shoulders are back, our chest is forward, we're showing up for things, not having a need to prove anything in order to be validated, because we know deep down inside I'm a great being. So like that inner confidence kind of ripples out into everything, and that helps us take action. That helps us to, receive. I think it's like an inner belief system and like our worthiness and that kind of thing.
Yeah, beautiful. It is. And it all sort of starts from the inside. And I really believe that our external world is a reflection of our internal world. And something that's just coming up for me that I wanted to jam on really quickly is sometimes in the morning I wake up and I'm like not feeling confident, not feeling like I'm ready to shine, and by doing things to my external world, like putting on makeup or putting on my favorite dress, can give me that sense of confidence as well. And like kind of, I guess, like get my head back up above water so that I can start to tap into that, fearless, unapologetic permission to go out into the world and do what I know I'm here to do. And so it's like a balance, I believe, and I'd love to know your thoughts on this as well, between like doing that inner work and clearing out the blockages that stop you, but then also just like having those tools around you in your environment that can help you reflect that state that you're trying to reach internally.
Yeah, that's beautiful. For me, what instantly comes up is that it's like it's the aligned action, because you can, like, it's like internal and external, and sometimes people might play in one more than the other. Like if someone's constantly doing the internal work, but they haven't changed their outside reality, like maybe they're not moving their body, maybe they're not dressing to express themselves, maybe they're not taking, pride in the way that their body is or anything. It's like they're just in the internal world, and then it's uneven, it's not balanced. So it's like we get to do both. Like, let's look at the belief systems and the inner world and see like, well, what do we think about ourselves? What do we feel about ourselves? And then also be like, okay, cool. Now how am I like bringing that into my reality? Like, am I moving my body? Am I eating well? Like, am I, like all of that kind of stuff as well? Because you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's you're saying it's super important to do that inner work and then also follow it up with the inspired action, because it's one thing to do our affirmations and mantras and journaling and mirror work, but then if we're not actually expressing that and presenting that externally as well, which can show up in all sorts of ways, then it's not integrated.
It's not integrated at all, yeah. And then we get to look at like, well, what's the reason that I'm not taking action in the physical space? Why am I hanging out in only the emotional? Or what we see a lot of people, like pretty much the majority of the world would be in the external. Like, okay, when I lose more weight, when I'm wearing better clothes, when I'm more successful, then I'll feel confident about myself. So they think I just have to change the external and then I feel confident. And it doesn't, because they're only in that space. But when it's like, all right, yeah, I can do that, but I'm doing it from, like, if they're constantly in that space and they're like, when I do this thing, then I'll feel better about myself, then I'll feel confident. Well, they're never going to get to it because they haven't changed the internal dialogue. So for them, it'd be like, okay, cool, go to the opposite, like go to the polar opposite, go and look at the internal world and see what's your internal dialogue. How do you feel about yourself genuinely, emotionally? And then you can move in the external world, but not having to do any of that stuff because you know inside, yeah, I am good enough and I do love myself. So I don't need to be more successful, lose any more weight, whatever it is, because I'm already good. And then you can kind of come from a space that's more, I feel it's like you're getting pulled forward into like your mission and whatever you want to do because you don't need that validation to prove anything to family or yourself because you're like, yeah, I'm good. I feel really good in myself. So now what do I want to do? Yeah.
I hear that.
It's like, it's not that pushing forward energy. It's like getting pulled forward.
Yeah. And it just feels in the body so much more relaxing to do it in that way. There's less of the anxiety. There's less of the question and the doubt. And it's because you're in integrity, you've got clarity and purpose and direction.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually one of my favoriteest things to work on and that's what I'm bringing into the Queen program. This is like my new addition because I realized that everything was a belief system and the whole idea around, I need to work hard in order to make money or for my business to grow. I was like, wait a minute. If everything is my internal world pushed out, how you said at the start, then the idea that I need to work hard in order to do better in my business, that must be a belief as well. Where does that come from? Well, that's interesting because that's a great way to program society. You need to work hard in order to be successful. Oh, we'll just teach people from school to be like that. So having the tools and techniques to catch the belief and then change it and reprogram the subconscious mind, get out the energy around it and put in something good. I was like, why not? Like, why not change that? And I feel like it's actually coming from more of the feminine energy because it's like, how can I be and receive? How can I be open to receiving more? How can I be feeling like I'm in energetic alignment with my vision and knowing I'm worthy of it and just receiving? And that's, you know, the feminine energy, receiving in. So that's something that I've been working with. And I saw from changing my belief systems around this and working with it a lot that it was so weird. It was like I did that and then my business grew without me even thinking about it because I kept working on the belief system. And then I'd be like, all right, I feel like doing this with my shop trash, or I feel like doing this with Teddi Emerald tapping stuff. And stuff started to just like line up and sync up, like I guess like the synchronicities or the manifestation, however you want to call it. And I realized that all that stuff came in a lot easier and I was doing really well, but it was a lot easier. And I was like, oh, that's because I changed the belief system around it.
Yeah. And that's what's often required when we want to, you know, go to the next level or make a change, whether that's in business or it's in, our, you know, in our bodies or in our relationships and in our finances, in our careers even. There's like, okay, so I want to go to this next level. I want to take a step up. But first, I've actually got to do some work myself because if we keep pushing to go up to that level, all it's going to do is amplify those beliefs that you're running now. And
oh my God, yes.
And they'll just keep you small. They'll just keep you small.
More overwhelmed, more drained. Like, because what I saw was I was staying up super late and like looked like I was busy, like a little busy bee, but not actually getting anything done. And I was like doing some work on myself, and I'm like, what's going on here? I'm like, oh my God, I'm repatterning my mum, who when she was like in entrepreneurial stage, she would be up all night, all day. And I was like, oh, I have this family loyalty to being the same, because if I was to receive things easily, like my businesses are doing well easily, then there would be this part of me that feels like guilty. Because I'm like, oh, mum, like it was easy for me. Oh, okay, I can't handle that. I have like a vow or a family loyalty, or I did have one to you. So I'm just going to like work really hard. And I was like, oh, that's got to change, because I don't want to be like leveling up and making myself work into the ground to prove that I am worthy of it, or I earned it. I earned that success. And it's like, that's just, you know what I mean? It's like BS.
Or it's like selfish. It's selfish or it's indulgent or luxurious to want to be, to even want to have that desire to be more, or, yeah, it's like, I notice it a lot, I guess, in the money space, and in all aspects as well. But there's so much like,
it's so clear to see in money, isn't it?
It's just like, we'll use money because it's such a great example. It's like, it's wrong to want to have money. It's wrong to, desire to be wealthy financially. Which is such an old story, because the reality is when we can really start to show up for the rest of the world in a whole new way.
Yeah. I love this. Like, I love this topic so much, because I've done so much work on it, because I came from a really poor background. And when I realized, wait a minute, if I don't work on this stuff now, I'm going to self-sabotage in my business because of old ways. And seeing like the programming around money, like what were my beliefs around people with money? And it was like, oh, they're arrogant, they're fake, they're superficial, Scrooge McDuck, they don't have fun,
greedy,
destroying the earth, greedy, all this kind of shit. And I was like, well, evil. So I was like, oh, I get to clear all of that and then like actually choose this new reality. And it's like, well, the people with money, like, who are the good ones and what good are they doing? And it's like the people like you and I that are conscious and we love the earth and we want to help people. It's like, for us to have a good relationship with money, we're going to do good with it. So we really get to work on that and change that, because that the more light workers, light beings that have money, it's more power to do good work in the earth. And that's what we need, like conscious business, conscious leaders, like not the people that have been running the show.
Yeah.
So it's a really nice thing to move through.
Yeah, totally. There's a great podcast called For the Love of Money for anyone who's kind of interested in this money chat. And his tagline is, when good people make good money, they do great things. And he talks about this a lot. And that can be applied to any area of your life, like not just money, but in all aspects. You know, it's like, get yourself right internally first, clear the blockages, clear the shit, clear all of the things, all of the, you're selfish, like you're this, you're that, you can't go to that next level. You can't be confident. You can't shine. Clear all of those, like clear all of that negative self-dialogue so that you can actually liberate yourself and step into the life that you deserve. Like, let's face it, like, you know in the like depths of your heart that you can and that you want to. And so it's
what you came here to do.
It's what you came here to do.
That's how I feel.
Totally.
That's exactly, like, that's my whole mission. I'm like, I'm here to support people with all the techniques, all the tools, everything that I know, the quickest, fastest, deepest way to get on with what they came here to do. Like, that's it. Like, because that's what's going to be so fulfilling and create so much change.
Yeah. Totally. Oh my gosh, I'm going to like completely butcher this, but there's a man whose name I don't know. He lives in the world. No.
Because when you said like, clear your shit, I was like, I instantly thought of Jordan Peterson, and he's like, first thing, clean up your room. Start with cleaning your room. And it's like, you know, like keep that space clean, and then you can go out into the world and deal with everything else. And it's like the same as what you're saying, like clean up your internal stuff, then go and think about the rest of the stuff.
It's not him, but we'll roll with it anyway. And I love the cleaning your room part because it's so symbolic, you know, like doing feng shui in your room, like getting rid of clothes that don't fit you anymore, getting rid of pieces that you've had for years and years and years that you don't use anymore, getting rid of like items in your, you know, on your bookshelf that just don't resonate with who you are now and who you want to be. You know, just get rid of it. It's symbolic of you creating space for the new to come through. And it's like little actions like that can start to set in motion massive transformation for sure.
Massive. I just did a colon cleanse when I got back from traveling, and because of living out of a suitcase, I was like, I don't need a lot. And I do this all the time, like go through stuff. And every time I do a colon cleanse, I'm like, all right, get stuff out of the house, like old energy, and really going through each clothing piece as well and being like, am I wearing this? Do I love this? Does this make me feel super empowered, beautiful, sexy, like the queen vibes, the queen archetype? And if it doesn't, why am I hanging on to it? Why do I want some raggy, comfortable thing when I can have a beautiful, comfortable thing?
Yeah.
It's like taking up energy space. So yeah,
get rid of it. Just like make a declaration to yourself. Just be like, the only things that I want in my space, in my environment, are things that make me feel X, things that are going to help me channel that energy of X, that queen vibe that you're talking about. Totally.
Yeah. Whatever you're calling in. Who's your future you? What are you calling in? What's in alignment with her? What does she wear? How does she show up? How does she start her morning? Like, you know, all of it.
Yeah, totally. And also just like be aware of the fear, be aware of the self-doubt. I mean, I was this is coming through really strong for me because I'm personally going through a massive level up shifting at the moment. Like personally, like within myself and my business and in my finances. And it's requiring me to go super deep, like massively in and clear out so much stuff. And, you know, there's this point when it comes to, I guess, leveling up and stepping more into your power, stepping more into your radiance and into your shine, where it's like, you know that you're on the verge of breakthrough. You can feel the fear, and you can feel, because you don't know what it feels like to be up there. You don't know what you're doing. Like, you don't know what it's going to look like when you get that body. You don't know what it's going to look like when you have $1 million in your bank account. You don't know what it's going to look like when you become an entrepreneur and quit your job. Like it's scary. It's scary because we don't know, and it's unfamiliar, and we have all of that negative self-talk, all of those old beliefs, like loud in the mind. And I think the thing is to understand is that self-doubt never goes away. You know, it's like,
yeah, beautiful thing to acknowledge, really beautiful thing to acknowledge is that it doesn't go away. It's just, it's moved through for this time, and then you have better ways to manage it and work through it and drop down the energy around it, like not see it and feel it as true.
Yeah. Amen to that. So it's like acknowledging it, experiencing it in your body, like experience the sensations, let it move through you energetically, and then release it, and know that you don't need to identify it and embody it and actually let it dictate the show. I love like Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic, how she talks about fear being in the car with you and where you're going, but it's in the back seat because you can't kick fear out of the car, and you can acknowledge it and say, hey mate, I know you're there, but you just need to sit in the back seat and be quiet because I'm driving, you know?
Yeah. I haven't read that book, but people always mention it to me because I say a lot of things that must be quite similar to her. For me, with the fear, I actually see it almost like as a being, and it's like a doorway or a gateway through to my greatness. Like there's something amazing on the other side. And I realized that if fear was a character and he was like here to like play this role, like I'm going to scare you. And then I have to go through all this internal dialogue about who I am and blah, blah, blah. And I learn all this stuff, and I move through old DNA stuff from mom, society, ancestors, whatever. And I get to move through this doorway. And then I'm like, wow, I'm this. And I learn all this stuff. So it's like soul growth, evolution, whatever. But then I also look back and I look at fear and I'm like, wow, you must have loved me so much to play that role in order for me to grow and level up so much and see these new facets of myself that I never would have seen. So ultimately, you're not there to like push me down and make me like, oh, I'm not going to move. It's like you might be scary as the face, but behind the mask, I'm like, that's love. Like, that's so amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's like using fear as a compass and actually thanking it and being grateful for it. And I believe that like the quickest way to confidence, I guess, just to use the word, seeing as how we're talking about confidence in this topic.
So how about that confidence
thing? Like one of the quickest ways to get there is to just do the thing.
Do the thing.
Just
Take the action.
Take the action because by doing it, we'll realize, oh, I didn't die. I didn't lose connection or belonging. I'm still here. And even if we fail, we don't die. We're still belonging. And you have grown your confidence because you tried. You've grown your worth because you've tried and you know that you can do it. You've grown that self-love muscle because you're showing up for what's true for you, which is what what self-love is. It's not just about face masks and, all the self-care stuff.
Oh, yeah, no way.
It's about showing up for yourself every single day and taking that inspired action, even when it's scary.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that when we're in the pits, that's where it all comes up. It's like, can I love my body when, it's like not what I want it to be. Like if I have rolls or bumps or whatever, can I actually truly be loving and kind and accepting of it right now? Because if I only accept myself when I'm this certain weight or this shape or whatever it is, then that's not true love and acceptance at all. So it's like when it's down, then can we, in that shadow, that darkness, then can we find the love and acceptance and truly be at peace with ourselves. And that could be not just a physical thing. It could be like, because we're talking about the action, it could be, can I be okay with myself when I'm not taking this inspired action when there's something that I know to be doing? Can I not beat myself up? Can I not be ashamed or guilty or putting myself down? Can I know that I'm good enough even when I'm not doing this thing? You know what I mean? Because it's then takes away from that pushing, needing to go forward energy. And I think it brings us into the resting space and being like, yeah, like I am okay. And no matter what, it's all good. And another thing I just wanted to quickly say is with the action stuff, I just did a session with someone the other day, actually man, about action taking and business stuff. And because sometimes we can really know like, oh, this is the thing to do, and then just will not do it. Like it's just like all self-sabotage is like hell loose, like, watching Netflix, eating, socializing, partying, whatever. And it's like when that happens, I think it's so important not to beat ourselves up because it begins this like shame cycle of like, I know that this is the thing to do and it's good for me and it's like, it's in alignment and all the things, but I'm not doing it. And then it's like, oh, now I'm like, like a crappy person. And now like I'm beating myself up for not taking action, blah, blah, blah. But when that stuff goes on, it's because there's like a full on like a subconscious block happening, and the subconscious is 95%. So we can't bully ourselves to get through it, like using the 5% conscious mind. Like you do it. You are enough. Like, come on, take action. If it's not working, stop it and go work with the subconscious, because that's where the change will happen. There's something that is extremely not safe or identity challenging about that moving forward. And the subconscious is like putting all the brakes on, like, no, we are not moving forward for whatever reason. So it's like, don't make yourself wrong. It's all good. It's something in the subconscious that you don't even know about that's happening. And it's not like the subconscious is like trying to be malicious and like, hold you back from greatness. There is something in there that's like super not safe. So it's like, okay, cool. I'm just going to go and like work on this and just sort it out so that I can move forward in more like ease and grace and, be back in the flow.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. And let's dive into that. I want to go deep into all of this juicy subconscious stuff. 'Cause you work with tapping, which is EFT, emotional freedom technique. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Tell me everything. Imagine that. Taparoo. Did you say taparoo?
Yeah. I was thinking Billy Madison. Is it tap, tap, tap? I don't know. Whatever. Yeah,
oh my God. I just love that. Just a little taparoo.
Yeah.
Epic. Okay. So just imagine that I'm like completely new to this, like complete amateur. Tell me everything about tapping, what it is, how to get started with it. Just,
yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I love it. So I think that it is amazing, and this is why I think it's amazing, is it's linked to the subconscious, like what I was saying to you before. So the subconscious mind is a part that we're not conscious of, and all of our belief systems about ourselves and the world are stored in there. So, pardon me, if we have a belief, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm unlovable, any of these kind of things, I have to work hard for money, I'm not deserving of pleasure, blah, 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 all these kinds of things. So belief systems are, unless you've been doing some investigating work and self-development and healing, a lot of people wouldn't be typically aware of it because you don't naturally think it. You'll have you'll be able to see it because of how you're showing up in life or not showing up in life and the reactions that you have. So like if someone's not feeling good enough, they might be holding back. They might be more reserved. They might be procrastinating. They might be a people pleaser, something like that. It's like these signs that, hey, maybe there's a belief system going on. Or I'm not worthy. So not charging what you're worth, not asking for that raise, not asking for what you want in a relationship. Mm-hmm. Well, these are signs that there's a belief system like that's going on. So in saying that, tapping works on, I'll use a few words that are like what it is, but I don't mean it to be confusing as well, because I get that people are more interested in not what it is, but what it does. So I'll say it works on meridian lines in the body, which is like energy lines. So energy is emotion. Energy in motion is emotion. So when we're feeling something, it's like there's energy running up and down us, kind of like electricity in a house, like how there's electricity wires everywhere. Similar, like we have electricity running through us, and that's our emotions. And when it gets blocked because of like we go into shock or something happens and we don't quite process it, kind of gets blocked in parts of our body. There's like a traffic jam, and then we just bury it down and we move on with life and we don't process it. And then that's why like stuff starts to stack on top of us and we can kind of like burst out, or like actually if energy keeps building, it starts to become a physical manifestation, and that's dis-ease. So we want to start looking at energy way before it has a physical manifestation and moving emotions through. So tapping is very similar to acupuncture in the sense that it works with these meridians, like these energy lines, and it taps on certain ones that's like a high impact zone, like one that is got a lot of energy in it. And acupuncturists will put needles in here to release it, to release the traffic jam or however you want to say it. And we're tapping on it. So it's like sending these jolts through the energy lines. And then we're going to talk about, well, what's the thing that made that happen? Like, what's the emotional thing that's going on? The thing that you don't want to look at, or that's being buried down, or that you're not feeling good about. And just by talking and tapping at the same time, it begins to release all the charge around something. So if you, if there was any, I know because you speak about pleasure and living a turned on life, if there was any women or men that are like, I'm not living that. So then you could focus in on, well, what's the emotion that I feel around this subject, and start tapping and then start discussing it, like whatever comes up. And then that'll help the emotions to move out of something. And when that happens, our perspective can change and we can have a breakthrough and an aha moment, because the emotions aren't there anymore. It's like, oh yeah, like I feel calm now, instead of it maybe being like, oh, I feel guilty because my body isn't, feeling aroused, or I'm not, I'm feeling ashamed of my body. And if we're tapping, then we can release the shame and the guilt and that kind of thing, and then come into a place of more peace and acceptance and self-love. And then we can have a different kind of perspective, which I think is really cool. So it's a physical thing, and it's also a subconscious thing. So it's like energy medicine is what they call it. And I honestly think that if people just were taught this kind of stuff, because it's really simple to do, it's just like, it would change everything. Like having a tool to work through emotions. Like, how you could have a breakup 10 years ago and then still think about it and still feel a rise in your body. It's like, well, cool. That's a sign that there's still energy or trapped emotion around that thing. So by tapping on it and working with a practitioner and clearing the emotion, then you can like let it go. And then by being able to let go of that emotion, that hurt or whatever it was, you then would actually be able to show up differently in relationship now, because you don't have that wound anymore.
And so
does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So it's like an emotional release tool. And so when you're feeling, when you're feeling like charged over a certain thing that's happening at present in your life or a distant memory. So like say for example, when I was 5, I dropped a jar of pickles on the kitchen floor, and I'm just making this up on the spot, and my dad like scorned me. And I still to this day, when I remember that moment, my whole body goes into like some kind of thing. And so I can like tap when I think about that. And then those physical sensations of like shame and fear and guilt and just yuckiness, I guess, will start to dissipate.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that sounds like, it almost sounds like it's too good to be true. And I'm just like, how have I never done this before? It's funny because like tapping has been something that people have been telling me to do for many, many years, and I just haven't yet done it. And I guess because I've been using other emotional release tools that I've learnt in a lot of the sort of somatic sexological work that I've been doing, which is a bit more, I guess, I don't want to say hands-on in a sexual body context way, because it's not like that at all, but it's more like screaming into your hands, like hitting cushions, like thrusting with your hips.
I love that kind of stuff.
Actually,
let the body live it out, like get it out.
Yeah. Like how animals like shake out in the wild to release energy. Like we sort of do a similar thing. Yesterday, my gosh, you'll crack up at this. Yesterday, I was down in Mount Maunganui, and there's this gorgeous yoga platform right on the ocean, and it is absolute heaven. If anyone listening is ever in the Bay of Plenty, just look up Hart Street in Mount Maunganui, Hart, and there is a yoga platform there that's right on the beach and overlooks the ocean. And I went there in the morning with my girlfriend to do our morning practice, and I just didn't want to move. I felt so blocked, and I just felt really tired and lethargic, and I'm like, there's something stuck in my body. And I finally tapped into this like feeling. I was like, okay, how does my body really want to move right now? Let me like release the expectation that I need to do this like embodied flow goddess, like yoga, asana, pranayama, like practice, like, like how does my body actually really want to move right now? And all I wanted to do was like hump the floor. Okay, I know that sounds really fucking crazy, and it is. But
it doesn't at all.
But all I wanted to do, I could feel it in my womb and in my pelvic area and in my lower back. And it's because I've been under a lot of stress in the business. And women, we store all of our attention in our lower abdominals. And in our womb space and in our pussies, and I've noticed it because I haven't been feeling as turned on and as wet and as juicy lately, because I'm doing all of this epic leveling up, which is requiring me to do the work, but has also brought a level of, I guess, stress into my life, and I've stored it all there. I've also put weight on in that area, and it's only a little bit, but notice it, and I was like, oh my God, I just need to like hump the floor. And so I got onto the ground and I was lying on my back and I was just like lifting my pelvis up and like letting it drop back onto the platform and just like subtly kind of, I guess, tapping my lower back onto the ground and then doing the same thing, but on my front and just like kind of tapping my pelvic area into my yoga mat and just like letting the sensation of that dissipate all of that stress that I was storing in there. And oh my God, I feel like a new person.
Oh, I love that. That's so epic. And I love that you just connected to the primalness of how does the energy want to move and not being like, oh, I should do this thing or that thing. Cause it is like that as well. Like we want to be super flexible and fluid and be like, let it out however you want. Like if you need to dance hard, awesome. If you need to scream, do it. If you want to yell like a beast, do it. If you want to like hump the ground, fucking do it. Like just get it out. Like, and I think the more that we can feel comfortable and like, yeah, comfortable to just be whoever we are and just be like, yeah, I got me. No matter how I look to the outside world, I'm looking after me. I think that's so cool.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And the more we do it, the more we'll create a safer world where we can be fully expressed and emotionally healthy. Because the reality is, you know, we live in a world where it's like
so repressed.
Yeah, so repressed. Like, don't be loud, don't be emotional, be quiet, like act proper, sit up straight. Don't, you know, boys don't cry.
I feel like we are breaking through that like nothing else though. You know, like I feel like that's an old way of being, like so old generations. Like, yeah, like we're just busting through that and so quickly as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So just allowing yourself to go there. And then also when you notice other people who are in like a radical sense of self-expression, like you've just been at Burning Man. And, you know, where it's just like, you know, the whole philosophy of that. Well, not the whole philosophy, but it's like radical self-expression. And like you really notice in those environments where people can authentically express who they are in every moment. And it like really gives you this sense of liberation and freedom and your whole body can just relax. And being able to integrate that into society and like noticing when other people are expressing themselves authentically, how that makes you feel. And like how you can like love and accept them in their expression and not need to like take any of that energetic charge on yourself and just, you know, just, yeah, it's all very fascinating. We're getting a little bit off topic, but I just love talking about it.
Never. It's what wants to come through.
Yeah.
I've honestly, Burning Man, like I've been twice and I've never been so changed from being at something like, and I didn't expect it in the way that I was, but I really feel like, I think because of how long it goes for, how big it is and how the principles behind it, like inclusion, expression, like sharing, like all of that, I feel like it delayers me, like, and I come away from that with more body love, more self-expression, more connection is actually something that really surprised me is that I feel like now when I'm out in life, I'm like, oh, this is like Burning Man. And I don't know why, but like, it's like I chat to people more, I connect more, I talk to randoms more, that I feel better being human, and human in the sense of like, I'm okay with like the good and then the ugly. Like I am both. And I really feel like this acceptance, and it just helps me show up in life, be my epic, weird self, express that. And I'm okay with seeing everyone in their stuff as well. It's like, cool. Like you're doing you, like awesome. I don't know. So it's a really nice shift. If anyone's thinking about it and feeling called, worth every dollar. Yeah. You know, always invest in yourself. And if fun and transformation's calling you forward, then wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're in New Zealand, there's always the regional Burning Man event, and so it's called Kiwi Burn in New Zealand.
Oh, I've heard that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. So tickets sell out to Kiwi Burn in like under 5 minutes every year, but that's never stopped me before. I've got tickets for next year's event, and if you are curious and intrigued and wanting to experience something like this, then when there's a will, there's a way, and you'll definitely be able to get a ticket.
Absolutely.
Okay, so say I feel like my confidence, my self-love and my self-worth is like in my shoes and I'm listening to this podcast and I'm going, yes, I want to do this. How and where do I begin? What are the first steps that you would give to someone to, get going on this path to confidence?
Yeah, awesome. If you're feeling it and, something's pinging in your mind or your body, like lighting up, then that is a sure sign, like, yes, it's time. It's time to shift. And I would say looking at someone that works with the subconscious, there's many different modalities. I'm not going to toot off and be like, I'm the only one and my modality is the only one. Like there's many to start dipping into, clearing and investigating what's going on in the subconscious. And I think with this, it's like not just looking at what's in there, but releasing the energy and changing what's in there. I think that that's really important as well. So yeah, like researching, okay, like what modality do I want to try? What technique? Is there a practitioner that I'm feeling like I want to work with, like this resonance with working with them, because you want to work with someone that you feel good with. So start looking into that as well, and then take action and make it happen. Like book a discovery call with whoever it is, or like email them, or just book the session straight up and just start investigating, like, because this stuff, you can never go wrong with it ever. Like you're always going to learn more. You always have a shift, and that's going to move your life forward in an amazing way. So just definitely take action, and not to let it just be one of those things that, oh yeah, I'll get to that when, like when I have more money, when I'm less stressed, when there's more space in my life. No, it's now, because doing that stuff is going to change your life so that you have more of that good stuff. It's like when stuff's horrible, that's exactly when to take action, because it's like you can get to the icky stuff a lot quicker and easier as well, because it's there. It's like at the surface. I've had the most massive breakthroughs with clients when they've been so like low, because it was just there, and we just went in and like shifted everything, and their life was just like 180'd around. Like that's what happened to me, and that's what has happened to them. So take action 100%, and find and be open with investigating a few different techniques, modalities, however you want to say it. Because one, like tapping could 100% work for someone, and then for someone they're like, oh, maybe I really like NLP, or I really like hypnosis or something like that.
Yeah.
Like or plant medicine, we don't know. So it's like, yeah, what do they say? Many roads lead to Rome. Like we all have different things that work for us. So whatever feels good, like trust your body, trust that moment of instinct or intuition.
Yeah, awesome. And you won't know until you try and take the action. So the doing is the knowing, and just make that first step.
Oh, the doing is the knowing. I love that.
Oh my God. It's like the best thing that I got out of university. It was like day one, first assignment, and like my lecturer, she was like real staunch, and I was quite intimidated by her, and I had some questions for her about the assignment, and she just like glazed over at me and like said to me, the doing is the knowing. And I was just like, ooh, damn. And I like, in the moment I felt so heartbroken, but what she said has been so powerful, and I use it all the time.
I love that. It's true.
So
it really
true.
is.
Absolute truth. I love her for that.
Direct experience. Yeah.
Okay, honey, we're going to wrap up, and I've got some quick fire questions to tie a big bow on this. So the first one is, how do you cultivate more pleasure in your life?
How do I cultivate more pleasure in my life? By the small things. Eating fruit, touching my curves, listening to beautiful music, bringing flowers into my life, noticing beauty, having the intention of calling in pleasure. That's actually my thing for what I'm calling in a pleasurable life. To find pleasure in everything. Yeah. I think those things.
Epic. I love it. What's one thing you've learnt about self-love recently?
Kindness, like absolute kindness, not making my little girl wrong, and getting frustrated and angry at her, just being kind to just seeing that I am doing the best that I can with how I've lived up until this moment, and being kind about that, and being kind with my judgments of myself and others, and catching when I'm like pointing the finger at someone, and realizing that every time I do that, I stuff myself up because I fear that judgment put back on me. So just always like choosing to be really kind to myself, like doing a good job, go Teddi, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Awesome. And what is the most impactful book you've ever read?
The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, Chronicles of Narnia.
I love that.
Into the Other Realms.
So good. Great answer. Yeah, everyone's like always like a personal development book, which is amazing. But I'm also just like, yeah, that's so good. I love a good like fantasy book that's just like like just play and like pleasure and just yes,
imagination, play, so much beauty. I love that kind of stuff.
Epic. Okay, well, Teddi, this has been an absolute dream and a great episode. I can't wait to release it and share it with the world. It's it's just amazing to have your beautiful, vibrant energy on the show. So thank you so, so much.
Oh, such a pleasure. Thank you.
Yay. If you enjoyed this episode, hit like and subscribe, or share it with someone who you feel could benefit from hearing it too. My mission is to bring healthy sexuality to the mainstream, so be sure to leave your 5-star review on your favorite podcasting app, because that way this content can land in the ears of those who need it the most. If you're looking for more resources on how to live a turned-on life, check out my website at www.laura-allen.com, where you'll find events, coursework, free downloadable workbooks, as well as my coaching packages. And lastly, I want to thank you for taking the time to prioritize yourself in this exquisite way, because when we do, that's when we can really start to show up for the rest of the world. And until next time, thank you so much for listening, and I'll be back with another episode soon.